Welcome to the crazy history of the world with Bori Morales. Now, some of the things you may hear here, you may think that it's far-fetched, that I'm making it up, that I'm a little bit drunk, but no, this actually happened in the world. Now, we're going to start it with this dude right here that looks like he's about to strike a pose in Vogue. So this dude is Peter the Great, and Peter put a tax on beard. So if you had a beard, you had to pony up the dough. Back in those days, dudes were rocking the beard. You know, the ZZ Tops, aka Santa Claus, aka I want to hide small birds here. But in old Russia, man's beard was honor, faith, wisdom. It was part of who they were. But Peter was like, no. To Peter, the beard was old-fashioned and he wanted to modernize Russia. So in 1698, Peter created one of the weirdest tax, the beard tax. So if you wanted to keep that sweet, luscious beard, you had to pay. But the funny thing about it, the tax wasn't equal. So if you were rich, you had to pay out of the... If you were a peasant, you had to pay almost a yearly wage. They even put up a decree on the wall. By decree of His Imperial Majesty Peter Alexander. You know what? I'm not even going to read this. It just basically means if you have a beard, pay a tax. So if you told these dudes, I ain't paying no tax, now what? Well, this what? These dudes were not playing. They were serious. They were cut off right there. So let's say you pay the beard tax. What happens then? So they would give you a token. To have proof, it was like an ID that you paid the beard tax. If you were a peasant, you get this small copper token. If you were a merchant, you get the silver token. If you were Big Daddy Bucks, Scrooge McDuck, then you get the gold token. But there was a rebellion. People would cover their beards with scarves and also wear fake beards to mock Peter the Great. But rumors started spreading around the hood that shaving was a sin and that Peter was cursed by God. So while all this is going on, it created culture split between the classes. So on the left, a nobleman, European fashion, powdered wig, elegant coat, clean shaven, very Project Runway-ish. This was representing Peter the Great vision of modernization in Russia. On the right, a traditional Russian man, an old robe, long beard, symbolizing resistance and defending the old customs in Russia. And this beard tax kept on going past Peter's death in 1725 up to the early 18th century. Now for Peter, it was modernization. For many Russians, they felt humiliated. And it all began with the hair on a man's face. So if you're in Russia, you can actually find some of these coins. You can check out the State Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, State Historical Museum in Moscow. So that has been Crazy History of the World with Bori Morales. Make sure you like, you subscribe, you follow, you share, you push all the buttons down there so I could bring you more of these crazy history stories that didn't come out that right, but you get the point.